Greetings, humans. Spinning Mantis here, back with some more Overwatch League. This is Stage 1, Week 3. I didn't get to watch as much this week as I have in past weeks, and apparently, really, other people didn't either. It was down to about a strong high of 90,000 viewers on Twitch. It's dipping below the level that I would consider healthy. Still not terrible. 100,000 would be better. I think it will improve once we get more towards playoff time and stuff like that. But the games have been great so far. The most fun thing really about watching is watching Widow play. Good Widows sort of dominate, sort of like good Genjis dominate Widows and Genjis, which for most people who are in gold or platinum and stuff like that, there aren't many good Widows or Genjis, platinum and below. So it's amazing to see people are excellent at it. So far, obviously, in the first game, Spitfire beat the Shock. That was no surprise. The Dynasty, I watched a good bit of that. Dragons played their best game so far versus Seoul. It seems like a lot of people put on their best shoes to go up against Seoul, but they can't even touch Seoul. And then the best match of the week was probably the Valiant versus the Gladiators. It was super close, and Valiant reverse swept. So Gladiators took the first two, and then Valiant took the next two and the tiebreaker. I watched that, and again, it comes down to who has the better Widow, better Genji. Uprising, surprise, I didn't see any of this game. Was a surprise upset over Spitfire, so that's the first time one of the quote-unquote Korean teams have lost. So it says a lot about Boston. Maybe the Spitfire didn't take them seriously. And then immediately after that, the Philly Fusion, who's like it's my sleeper favorite for the quote-unquote American teams, upset the Excelsior. So two Korean teams got beat by quote-unquote American teams or mixed teams for the first time today. And then, as I would expect, the Outlaws crushed the Mayhem. They just smashed them. I saw a bit of that before. Not a big surprise there. So coming into the weekend, Dynasty versus the Excelsior. I think the Dynasty is going to keep their perfect record going and beat the tough Excelsior. Alright, some more music, cool. That's one of my bands, 17 Cabos Family, playing in the background. The videos are on this channel if you want to look to the music playlist. Bunch of music there. And so yeah, Philly Fusion versus Shanghai Dragons. I really think Fusion are gonna beat the Dragons. Dragons are, I think the lowest team in the whole league. And then Fuel versus Shock. Wow, this is a tough one. I've been saying, Fuel should be so much higher. I think maybe the Fuel can pick up their very first win with this. They've suspended XQC. The league has suspended him. The team has suspended him. And I've never been a fan of XQC. Either his play as a tank, I think in the first games of the season, he was. They took him out after a week or so because he just wasn't that good. I'd rather see someone like Moon in there, another good tank player. But anyway, and I just think his general personality, it's just not my type of personality. I like streamers. I mean, I tried to watch him a long time ago. I tried to watch him multiple times, but his personality is just not the type that I like. I like more friendly, chill, cool streamers like Tim the Tatman, Josh OG. Moon can be a little bit of a jerk sometimes, but even Moon's like, not nearly as toxic as XQC. He's just always been sort of toxic, and that's not my thing. Anywho, with XQC suspended, maybe Dallas Fuel will come together a little bit. Seagull kind of threw him under the bus. He was sort of like, it wasn't just for the thing he said. We suspended him for a lot of reasons. loosely, he said something along those lines. Look into it. So yeah, hopefully the team can coalesce and gel if XQC isn't there. I think they should just cut him, to be honest, and maybe, and no insults, but as quote unquote ploy, go ahead and sign that Korean young woman tank player to replace him with. But anyway, I will say now, let's see if Dallas can get their first win for San Francisco on Friday. Next game, Dallas Fuel versus Boston Uprising. I think Boston is going to beat Dallas. I don't think Dallas is there yet. We'll see how they are at the end of the season. I think the Valiant will be strong and defeat the Mayhem. And this is a tough matchup here. Two good teams, but I do think Houston is probably ultimately better than the Gladiators. So I call Houston over the Gladiators. Let's take a look at the standings. It's kind of shaping out how I would much expect it. Soul Dynasty undefeated at the top, Spitfire second, and Excelsior third. I think these guys could flip-flop. We will see. I think it's probably more likely going to be Dynasty, Excelsior than Spitfire. And top American quote-unquote team or mixed team is Houston Outlaws at 3-2. Los Angeles Valiant's also there, and Philadelphia Fusion's also there. This makes perfect sense. This is the top three. This is the next three. I think this all makes sense. And then after that, we've got our next tier. With the Uprising and the Gladiators and the Shock. That's all good. And then hopefully Dallas will start to climb up above the Mayhem and get their first win, and eventually above the Shock, and hopefully Dallas can finish somewhere around 9. And then San Francisco, I don't mean to disrespect them. I guess I just did not know as much about their players, and they have played pretty well so far. And then Florida Mayhem, I definitely think, is in the bottom with Shanghai Dragons, although the Mayhem, they haven't played bad. I think the bottom team just across the board is the Dragons. So that is it for week 3. Hope you're having some fun watching. Hope you found the team that you like. As I said, I've been rooting for Soul Dynasty. That's all the skins that I've gotten in-game have been Soul Dynasty. So I've got Orisa and Torbjorn. And then on my Xbox account, I have Soul Dynasty Lucio. So, I really hope Dallas Fuel can start to pull things together and show themselves to be a better team. But until then, my bet for the American team that's going to be the strongest is probably Philly Fusion. But again, Outlaws and Valiant are good too. I think you can ignore everything under 6 here for the teams that are going to have a chance in the playoffs and stuff. I think it's the 3 quote-unquote the Korean teams, and then these are the top 3 American teams: Houston Outlaws, Philly Fusion, and Los Angeles Valiant. Alright, have some fun with Overwatch, have some fun with the new skins and new maps, and I hope you join me next time. Please do like these videos if you want to see more Overwatch. I really need it for the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. Alright, that's going to be all for now. Spinning Mantis out. Namaste.